Hi, I'm Graham. I'm a golfer who's passionate about technology and also a caddy in the north coast of Ireland. Me and my team are on a journey to create an app for the golf caddying industry, and while we're at it, we want to speak to as many interesting people creating exciting projects within the golf industry. I believe the future of this game is bright, my friends, and this is the Future of Golf podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Future of Golf podcast. This episode I am joined by Steven McDaniel, who is part of the team at Resides, who are developing industry-leading technology for driving ranges, which includes also payment solutions and equipment. Steven has joined me today from Sweden. Absolute pleasure to have you on, Steven. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, doing great. Today it's minus 2 degrees outside here in Sweden, but the sun is shining, so happy days.
Yeah, it's almost the illusion of heat. It looks nice outside, but really it's freezing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is it golfable weather out there? Like, would anyone be mad enough to go to
Yeah,
a driving range?
we have a saying in Sweden that there's no bad weather, just bad clothes. So you're definitely, as long as there's no frost on the ground, you're gonna find people out and about. We tend to be cooped up in our houses, during the winter time. So as soon as the sun pops out, we're out doing all sorts of outdoor activities. So yeah, you'll definitely find lots of people on the driving ranges, getting ready for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I saw as was one of your notable golfers, Henrik Stenson.
Mm.
I saw there was clips of him younger in the driving range, and I think it was covered with snow, and he was still out practicing. So I thought it's a different breed they make in Sweden. They're hardened to that temperature, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is, having, different colored golf balls, to be able to find them in the snow, like red and green and those sort of colors. So, yeah, when I actually ran a golf shop, that was the hottest items that I sold in the late fall and autumn months was, the different colored golf balls because, you're not going to let snow stop people from playing golf.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, is there any courses open at this time of year, or is it all driving range facilities that we
I
get
mean,
most of the?
I live in a town called Linköping, Sweden, which is about 2 hours south of Stockholm. So you might have these, sort of pay and play type of golf clubs that, still want to attract people during the wintertime. But not a whole lot open where I am. You would have to go approximately 3 hours south. And there, you're
Mhm.
open pretty much all year. And the temperature stays. I mean, it might dip down into the below freezing there, but for the most part, it's 0 to 5 degrees. So people are out and about.
Yeah, we think we get it cold here in Ireland, but really, relative to what you guys are getting, it's nothing. I think wind is the more predominant feature in Ireland in the
Yeah,
links courses. Like, it's just about managing your ball flight. Really, I don't know if
sure.
you mentioned there about St Andrews in Scotland. You've been up to play a few of them courses.
Yeah, definitely. And playing in windy conditions, and this as being a golfer yourself, you sort of have to swing easy when it's breezy, right? Otherwise the ball just tends to shoot straight up into the wind there.
Absolutely. And I suppose you mentioned there your background as a PGA professional. So obviously you're a hell of a lot more knowledgeable about the sort of techniques and proper fundamentals of the game. So how did that journey start for you? Like, what was your sort of first entrance into the game of golf?
Yeah, thanks. I'm originally from the U.S., so I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I actually grew up in a baseball family, so I grew up playing baseball. My grandfather was a semi-professional baseball player after the war, and so that was the introduction into sports. And then from there, he would hit golf balls on the range on the weekends, and I would see that, but my parents never really played golf. And I guess it was when I got into high school, I started a new school and made some friends, and my friends, without me knowing, signed me up for the golf team. And one day they basically called out the golf members are going to attend practice this coming Thursday, and they called my name, and took my grandfather's golf clubs and started playing. I guess I was about 15, 16 at the time. And from there, I was, very interested in golf. Basically, quit all my other sports and focused on it, 100%. Had the opportunity to play golf in college, which is where I met my wife from Sweden here. She was on the women's team,
Brilliant. That's
and
dope.
wanted to continue that career. So I actually went down to Florida at a college called the Golf Academy of the South in Orlando, two-year golf school,
Mhm.
and that sort of led into my PGA career. So yeah, 2001, I took a job at Framingham Country Club just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and worked there for 5 seasons before moving to Sweden. So yeah, I'm a PGA of America member, and I've been working in the golf business for 20 years.
That's amazing. And you mentioned your sort of baseball background. I think there's a few players in the PGA Tour. Like I think was it Gary Woodland that maybe had a bit of a baseball background. I think
Yeah,
there was
and
a few players.
Tommy Two Gloves Gainey,
Yeah.
and
Do you
you
think there's
see.
something that sort of transfers with that, like the athletic ability of being able to rotate really quickly, and it
Absolutely.
sort of transfers to golf?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to swing something in space and being able to find, a ball, whether it's at a horizontal plane or down on the ground, you sort of grow up with those, athletic abilities. Golf is obviously you have a golf ball that's just sitting there, whereas baseball, you're trying to time, a baseball coming at
Yeah.
you. But in some ways, I think golf is harder because that ball is just staring at you and you're trying to whack it off the ground, right?
Yeah, can be intimidating at times. It's not going to move anywhere unless you put the force in the right direction. So
Exactly, exactly.
you have to time it.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So you started around 16, and then you got it obviously into the college scene.
Hmm.
That's a crazy setup now in America with the college, and that seems to be like a real feeding ground for the PGA Tour. Like it almost seems like critical if you are to go on the either the web.com or the PGA Tour that you almost have to go through the college setup.
Definitely.
I would be interested to hear your experience going through the college
Yeah,
system.
absolutely. I wasn't as good of a player as maybe my wife was, in college, which is probably why I ended up on the teaching side. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of a farm league for the PGA Tour. I mean,
Yeah.
you rarely see PGA Tour players today that don't have a college background. Playing in college, gives you the opportunity to experience different types of golf clubs and different types of conditions, and plus you're an athlete as well as a student, so you have to manage your time really well,
Mm,
which you obviously have to do as a PGA Tour player as well. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's I wouldn't say that it's a prerequisite for playing the PGA Tour, but it definitely helps.
yeah, and you see like the younger players like a Colin Morikawa or even like Xander Schauffele in recent years, like they just come out of college and they're fresh and ready for the tour. There's no sort of stage fright when they compete. Like they're coming out to win straight away. Was
Yeah.
that sort of instilled, and did you see that in people? Was it a really competitive environment?
Yeah,
When you were there.
definitely. I mean, especially when you get down to a place like, down in Florida where you have mini tours all over the place and, the college level is higher than that. I mean, you definitely have to, go an average under par to, take that next step. So it's definitely a prerequisite for, playing good golf. That's for sure.
Yeah. I was watching this YouTube video and I think it was like a Monday qualifier. So this guy was like showing his experience of going through Monday qualifying and trying to make it to a tour event. So this was maybe back in 2015, and he missed the cut. He shot like 3 under, but the qualifying for the Monday qualifier was like 6 under.
Yeah.
And you just see at the top of the leaderboard. So this was about 2014. Brooks Koepka had shot about 9 or 10 under in this Monday qualifier. So that was obviously when he was like making his run to get onto the PGA Tour, and he played his golf over in Europe to start off. So he
Yeah,
played
that's right.
Challenge Tour. I think he won in the European Tour actually before he won in the PGA Tour. I think he won maybe it was the Turkish Airlines, but
Yeah.
it's people don't maybe appreciate like the standard that you have to reach to compete in that highest level. Did you have a little competitive spell in college and following that and
Yeah, I
sort of
mean,
tournament
my
play?
my my background was more. I mean, if you shoot par to a couple over par, I mean, you're not really going. Unfortunately, you're not really going anywhere. So I understood that pretty quickly that if I'm going to compete with these guys, then you sort of have to have a 5-year plan. Where does the finances come from? Getting sponsors, and you have to be able to survive. I mean, what we see when we turn on the TV is just sort of the very end of, this super long journey. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we, I did a couple of internships for the Hooters Golf Tour back in, I think it was 99 or 2000. And I remember talking to guys today that have been on the PGA Tour and are, looking at the senior tour, and saying, hey, look, I just shot 15 under for the week, and I'm barely, covering the expenses of, my hotel and caddy and those sort of things. And that's what you really don't see, when you turn on the TV, the journeyman's experience of getting there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's super competitive out there, and I mean, it's great to follow your dreams, and just focus in on the day to day and the journey getting there. Is fantastic.
Yeah. And obviously, you went on to make a career out of golf. So you mentioned there PGA professional teaching and now working for Range Servant.
Yeah.
If you could give any advice for maybe someone that is really into golf but wants to take that to become a career either in the PGA or maybe working for a golf company, like what sort of advice would you give?
I mean, the biggest advice I would say is just keep learning. I mean, if you feel like you sort of have it all figured out, then there's something wrong there. You're just going to keep staying humble, keep learning. Learn if you want to get into the teaching side, then learn all the different methods and techniques out there from all the different teachers. Keep an open mind. I see a lot of people, when I was teaching that, okay, it's only one specific way of doing things, and you
Mm-hmm.
sort of have to fit to my particular method of teaching. But just keep an open mind that there are a thousand different ways to teach, the golf swing and the golf game, and then just stay curious about what your future lies, because when I started, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I started as a PGA professional. Then my career sort of advanced as my family, uh, you know, um, got big, and I
Mm-hmm.
became a general manager at a golf club. And now I'm selling golf equipment. So I was on the customer side of, buying this golf equipment, and now I'm selling it. So I think I have a pretty unique, background as far as understanding maybe what the customer is thinking and the decision making process, and that. But if I was sort of closed off that I have to have a career, and it's only this particular way, I probably never would have ended up where I am now. So I try to stay humble, try to stay curious, and just keep learning along the way.
Absolutely. And you talk about like the variances of techniques, like you see in the tour, like from Jim Furyk to Bubba Watson, like there's so many ways to get it done, but they've obviously found a little method that works. Like, do you think from your teaching experience there was anything that like tied them players together? Like, was there any like one or two fundamentals that they all had that maybe made them
I
successful?
mean, the thing I love hearing, that the Hall of Fame, the Golf Hall of Fame is just a bunch of different golf swings, and they look differently. But, the thing that I see, day in and day out from the best players is that they find the ground the same way. Like they're able to strike the ball and have good,
Mm,
good, good contact, good fundamentals, when hitting the golf ball at the ground. Then it can look like, whatever on the backswing, and it can look
mm,
like whatever on the follow through. But, they're pretty similar, from maybe a half a meter to the ball and a half a meter after the
yeah.
ball. So, I would always work with my students on just, finding the ground properly, having that feel of where's the club head going into the ground. Is it steep? Is it shallow? And just, repeating those things. You definitely see these players, the thing that they have in common is the confidence, the belief in in
Mm,
themselves. I mean, if you have a Jim Furyk, that basically starts with, his hands between his knees. If he were to come to maybe 90% of golf professionals back when he started playing, they might have fixed that, and then we might not have ever heard of Jim Furyk.
yeah.
So I think, the belief in, okay, I can get it done with this particular technique, and just, knowing yourself, I think is a huge advantage.
Absolutely. And I think the confidence part of it is huge because I'm sure every amateur golfer listening can relate. You're set up to a shot and for some reason you just know it's going to go well, and the majority of them shots actually end up a positive result. And I suppose there's some sort of cognitive connection there between your brain and your body, and there's I guess your brain is ultimately controlling the sort of kinetic sequence of the swing, so it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, going back to sort of the product that you're working on now. My first golf experience was actually at a driving range. So my friends contacted me, maybe it was 12 or 13. I think we were out playing football. And they said, do you want to come and try a driving range? Do you want to try golf? And first of all, I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I really fancy this. I'm happy playing football. I think like football, rugby, and cricket were my sports growing up.
Mm.
And then I tried it, and as soon as I went to the driving range, I was hooked. And once I hit them first few shots, I'm sure you relate to that, just the feeling of getting hooked. Why do you think driving ranges are so important, I guess, for the whole golfing experience, for people to get into the game?
I think the most important thing is that they're so accessible. I mean, I think, when I was a general manager, I would always meet people out there and ask the question, why haven't you, come here before, maybe to the golf club to eat lunch or to play on the golf club? And a lot of people have this sort of idea that they're not allowed to come into the golf course or to the golf club, that it's
Yeah.
closed and, that sort of thing. So I think the driving range sort of breaks down all those barriers, and it's sort of
Yeah.
not that intimidating, right? You just basically have a club, you have a bucket of balls, and, you have some targets, and, you whack away. So I think that's probably the number one thing, is just that, they're easily accessible.
Yeah. And from your experience, I suppose you've been involved in the driving range industry, you're going to know the characteristics of what separates a good facility from a bad facility. What do you think, at like its core principles, makes a great driving range that everyone can enjoy?
Definitely the quality of the golf balls, the quality of the mats. If you have grass turf to be able to hit off of. If you go into a driving range where you can see that it's just weeds everywhere and trash, and the balls are different types of balls. There maybe they don't have their dimples, maybe they're the balls are broken or they're cut or whatever. Then you just see that there's really not a whole lot of care given to this
Yeah.
particular range. I mean, it's sort of an afterthought. But for the ranges that really make an effort, the quality of the golf balls, the quality of the mats, definitely if there's fun targets to hit to, are the foundations for a good driving range. Then I mean, if you come into a place that maybe has gaming technology and those sort of things, then that's obviously a step up. But I would definitely say just the upkeep and just the basics of the balls and the mats.
Hmm. Yeah, and we were talking, Stephen, just before we went on the podcast there about how I guess this conversation originated. So I was over in London recently, and I went to the Greenwich Peninsula driving range. And that is a phenomenal facility. So you have like the Canary Wharf background, and you're hitting golf balls out, and your balls just sort of rising up into the skyline. It's incredible. But to complement the facility, they obviously have the in range golf technology, in
Mhm.
which you can essentially go to different targets. Um, have you tried out one of these ranges where you're actually hitting the targets, and did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, here in Sweden, in the UK, it's definitely a thing with both in-range and top tracer. I mean, you see they're popping up all over the place over there. And here in Sweden, it's Top Tracer actually originated in Sweden as Pro Tracer. So it's a Swedish company, and TrackMan comes from Denmark. So but having said that, it hasn't really taken off. Before
Mm-hmm.
probably this past year or so, we've started to see some of these Top Tracer and TrackMan ranges popping up. So I have had the opportunity, since they do have our products there as well, the opportunity to
Yeah,
test those. And for me, I always like to practice like I play, right? I want to, I don't want to just sit down, put
yeah,
a bucket of balls down and then hit like 37 irons out there. I just feel that's the most boring thing in the world. So,
yeah,
having the opportunity to maybe play a bullseye game, or in range has a really cool shrinking target game where, you hit
yeah.
close to
I
target and
played
then the
that one.
target shrink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
What did you think
tough
about that
one.
one?
It was tough because I think so. You go to hit these targets, and I think you can only get to the next level if you hit the target. So,
Yeah.
isn't there like lava in
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
the different targets,
Yeah.
so your ball falls down? It
Yeah.
was funny because we were hitting pitch shots, and we were off by like 2 feet each time,
Yeah.
so it was just bouncing off the side, and we were like, for
Yeah.
flip's sake.
I mean,
But
it's great what Nick Longley and those guys over in InRange have done there. And then TrackMan, we have one TrackMan range in Sweden called Hinton Golf, which hosted a challenge tour tournament last year. So I had the opportunity to go there and play their TrackMan range. Same type of bullseye, closest to the pin. They have capture the flag, and then obviously you can play the different courses, and then everybody knows Top Tracer through all the top golf facilities in the world. So we definitely see from the golf course management side that golf interest has really risen in the past couple of years, especially because of the pandemic. People are out playing golf, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of tee times that the golf courses can sell. So the golf courses have to find other types of activities, and installing an in-range Top Tracer range or even a TrackMan range is definitely a great added value to the golf club.
Yeah, and that's it, because ultimately, like, people, like, for example, when I go back to 14, like, maybe I wouldn't have felt confident enough to step out in a golf course when I hadn't took a first swing.
Yeah,
You don't want to be holding up members behind you, or maybe perhaps golf clubs would require a handicap certificate, and there's all these barriers to get into the game.
definitely.
Whereas going to a driving range, as you say, there's no pressure, no one's watching you, there's no score, it's just fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's what these facilities are really getting. And I'm sure Range Servant is going down this line as well, is creating an inclusive experience. So whether you want to bring your family, whether you want to bring your friends, it provides that service. So
Mm.
I think in range, like, there was like a whole like drinks menu, there was food they offered as well. So
Yeah.
people would come, like I saw people beside me just coming having a few drinks and
Yeah.
having a good time.
These facilities are great to, introduce golf to, maybe the non-golfer. I think I saw an article saying 60 to 70% of, the top golf customer is a non-golfer, because
Mm-hmm.
they're at home trying to choose, okay, we're gonna maybe go bowling or go to the movies, or maybe we go to, Top Golf or an in-range
Yeah.
type of facility. TrackMan range is pretty unique in that they're more at established type of golf clubs, so their clientele is probably going to be more established golfers.
Mm-hmm.
But these others like Greenwich Peninsula and the Top Golf facilities do a great job of attracting the non golfers as well. And the food and beverage side is huge.
Mm-hmm. And as far as like like from a commercial perspective, like, if a driving range, say in Sweden or Ireland, were thinking of taking this on, like, what is the bottom line benefit for them actually taking on something like this technology?
I mean, you're definitely, and that's proven. I think I talked to Michael Hayes at InRage, and he said the majority of their installs, I mean, they're seeing 30 to 40% increase, in ball volume and visitors at the restaurant and that sort of thing. So definitely an increase in revenue. It's a great way to keep your members close to your club. So that's two huge benefits. With our range servant products, we can also add the benefit of cost savings. With the products that we integrate into, these types of facilities. Yeah, I mean, generating revenues, cost savings, and then, just you don't want the members to leave in October and then hope that they come back in April. You
Yeah,
sort of want to provide activities, even during the low months for them to do so that you keep them close.
absolutely. And you mentioned there that Trackman was from Denmark. There seems to be quite a big Scandinavian footprint in all these technologies.
Yeah.
What do you guys know that we don't? Is there some secret over there?
Well, we have a lot of time indoors with nothing else to do other
Oh,
than program.
that's an interesting point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like your environment has created that. It's like, what are we gonna do over winter?
Yeah, I
Let's
mean,
make this technology to make golf fun.
definitely Scandinavian countries are absolutely forward thinking. I mean, Spotify came from Scandinavian
Yeah,
and Klarna and all these. It's almost like a Silicon Valley for Europe is here in
yeah,
Scandinavia as well.
yeah. And there's something about the education system I read up over there. I suppose this is going off on a bit of a tangent, but this could be completely wrong. But it almost seems like there's less pressure in children over there to perform at an early age academically, and there's more sort of like fostering an innovative culture rather than just like, you need to get this mark on a test. Like, is that, am I right in that
I
path, or
mean,
maybe
yeah,
not?
yeah, you can definitely draw a theory from that. Here in most Scandinavian countries, they are welfare countries and people are taken care of. So there's really not that, okay, you're going to be homeless or out on the street if you
Yeah,
don't perform sort of pressure.
yeah,
take that for what it's worth there. But I know that in Sweden they've had a long line of music producing music and writing songs, and that a big lineage of computer programming as well, and again forward thinking in the way that we do things. I mean, we're pretty much a cashless society here in Sweden.
Mm.
We haven't used for the most part, cash in probably the last 5 years. So we have to find other ways for people to pay for, the
Yeah.
bucket of balls and
Yeah.
the experience.
That's interesting because I heard there was a report there about Ireland, and it said it was the most cash using nation in the entire United Kingdom.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
still a little bit slow to adapt, and I think it's because there's a lot of small villages here in Ireland. Is that the
Yeah.
sun coming through now?
Yeah. Kicking the door down.
That's it. That's it. Making a grand entrance.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, that's really interesting actually, and I suppose like have you you mentioned there that you considered that in your product as well, so offering ways that golfers can pay through contactless
Yeah, I
methods.
mean, Range Servant. Range Servant's a Swedish company from 1983. Basically, one of the first companies to offer, the traditional ball dispenser. Sort of graduated from the ball dispenser to pickers and washers, and that's basically for the past 40 years what we've been known for. We produce and make everything in Sweden and Halmstad, Sweden, and we sell it worldwide through a distributor network and as well as our USA office in Atlanta, Georgia. So over the past probably 5 years, we've seen that when we sell these products that are higher quality, we sort of lose contact with the customer because
Mm.
the customer will buy a product from us and then 15 years later they'll need a new product. So, we're trying to find different ways that we can hold on to the customer and serve the customer better. So we're developing, for instance, a product called RS Connect, which makes your ball machine smarter, gives you like the ball levels, it gives you alerts when it's time to pick. It's going to be able to integrate into third party, like for instance, your golf booking. You'll be able to go and just scan a QR code directly onto the ball dispenser, and through your golf booking app, you'll be able to dispense balls out. We also have an automated robot picker that instead of the traditional person going out and just picking back and forth, the robot
Yeah.
picker will pick that, and then that person could focus on other revenue generating activities such
Yeah.
as maybe custom fitting or selling lessons or those sort of things. So we're definitely constantly thinking of how can we turn the traditional ball dispenser into a product where we can have a closer contact with our customers, and these are integrated. We have delivered to pretty much every Topgolf facility, worldwide, 60 plus Topgolf facilities. Our ball management system that basically picks up the balls, washes the balls, and distributes the balls back to the customer at the bay there. So. And we partner up with the likes of InRange and Top
Mm.
Tracer and TrackMan and Your Golf Booking and all these Sweet Spot here in Sweden, all these third party companies to basically they're promoting things that help us, and vice versa. We do the same
Yeah.
thing for them.
Absolutely. I think the robot ball picker is definitely my favorite invention out of that, because you always feel sorry for the guy that's just going up and down the range, and
Yeah.
like people would take the mick and like hit a few balls at him and it's just bouncing off the kids. Like I never seen the need for that.
Yeah, exactly. And we just launched that at the PGA show now. We're serving the Scandinavian market this year, and we're going to be hitting that worldwide UK market, USA. We're going over next week to install it at a few places in Atlanta. Just start testing it in the US as well. So I think there's going to be a huge need for that. Again, we're trying to take away these sort of routine jobs and not necessarily replace staff, but have them do more important things that, like I said, generate revenue. So we're super excited about that one. And then our tee box that sits at every bay. I mean, if you have an InRange or a Top Tracer or a TrackMan, you want to have maybe an upscale experience with the tee box in bay dispenser dispensing one
Hmm.
ball at a time. To sort of give you that almost like a Topgolf Lite sort of experience,
Yeah.
at the driving range. So any general manager or board at a golf club, they can create these experiences, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to do that.
Yeah, I always thought it'd be really nice to have, because a club near me, Rawport Rush, actually have sort of like an indoor range, and I'm not sure what technology they have fitted in. But whenever I was playing there, I thought it was always nice to have an indoor range where you could get balls straight away and practice before your round, instead of hitting your own balls and then you have to walk up the driving range, fetch them. There's something more bespoke about that experience, instead of just bringing your own balls.
Definitely, and they can charge for it too. So I mean, it's a revenue generating activity, and an added value to you as a golfer and as a guest.
Absolutely. And I don't know how much you've heard about sort of the VR revolution in golf as well. So there's companies trying to bring almost virtual experiences, and there's been a massive movement. There's a company in America called Linksdow, so they've raised, I think it's 10 or 12 million to almost build this like decentralized organization that are going to then build a golf course.
Mm.
I guess, this maybe is way future talking, but has your company considered elements of VR into your approach
Definitely.
later on?
We and I obviously don't want to speak for the Range Servant board of directors that are probably going to be listening to this pod, but we're definitely looking at different ways to serve and service our products, and having a VR or augmented reality where the club or the driving range can hold up a telephone, over our products, and then our service technicians. We got a guy called Thomas Andersson and Jim Svensson. They can sit, from Range Servant headquarters and basically, go in and see exactly what the range owner sees, to be able to serve that from a remote facility. So we're definitely interested in how can we scale our people, in a more efficient and effective way. And VR and augmented reality is definitely one of those ways. We have a company here where I live in Linköping, Sweden, called XM Reality that works with just these particular things. When you have a product and you want to serve it or support it, then they have a service that your service guys can sit one place, and the product can be somewhere else, and you can work just as if you were right there presently next to the product. So
That's awesome. I didn't even think of that from like a customer's point of view, to be able to like go in and like demonstrate something. And I suppose that's maybe going to be applicable in like surgery and stuff like that in a year's time, where that's all crazy.
Definitely. I mean, I have a
very doable.
customer in the Southeast Asia that is trying to explain to me, what their vision is for their particular club, and by using AR or VR, we can pop in and maybe put our products into a program and show them how our products would fit into their vision, and so I think with the pandemic and COVID, we're seeing that you can do a lot of things remotely. Like you don't physically have to fly somewhere to service, those particular things. And I think you'll see more and more of that in the future.
Yeah, prime example of our conversation today, probably sitting thousands of miles from each other, but the connection's good today, to be fair. Now the image is very clear, so the Swedish connection must be good.
Oh yeah, we're up in the 4 or 5G here, but I do live in a house where there's a lot of concrete, walls, so the connection tends to be a little shaky. But I'm glad it worked out today.
That was perfect. Absolutely, and it sounds incredibly exciting stuff that you're doing in Range Servant. And if anyone wants to find out more information online, as far as maybe how to get involved with your products, where would they go?
Yeah, they can go to rangeservant.com. You can definitely send me an email, steven.mcdaniel at rangeservant.com. Follow me on LinkedIn. I try to stay as active as possible on LinkedIn with what's going on. And we'll get you all the information that you need.
Absolutely. Steven, that was an absolute pleasure today. A lot of insights about Scandinavian golf and your life growing up through the game. So it was my pleasure, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. It was nice to meet you.
Thanks for watching the episode of this podcast. If you've made it this far, you can continue the fun on Discord, our Twitter, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel.